I've been talking during this Holy Week about all of the people and the situations that were at cross purposes with Jesus. He is at cross purposes with the Roman government, and they're wanting to keep the peace with the Jewish people. He is at cross purposes with the temple priests and their rules around temple practices and sacrifices. And today I want to focus on that inner circle. The inner circle I refer to is the group of disciples who have been spending time with Jesus, learning from him, learning from his teachings and his example, living, eating, sleeping, traveling with Jesus. These are the 12 that I'm talking about. It's one thing to be in disagreement with political parties and governing bodies. I think we all learn to live with that. But it's much harder when we are at odds with our family and with our close friends. The tensions are now rising in this Holy Week, and they are rising within the inner circle. Jesus went to a dinner at a man named Simon's house, and Simon was somebody who had a skin disease, and so by Jewish law he was considered to be unclean. And yet, there Jesus was, defying those rules. A woman came into the house of Simon to anoint Jesus' feet with expensive nard. Jesus took the act as a loving and fitting gesture. Well, some of the disciples did not. They thought it a waste of money that could have been used for a better cause, money that could have been used for the poor. And the disciple that was the most upset at this time was Judas. But disciple Judas was becoming at cross purposes with Jesus on many topics. They were at cross purposes as to where this ministry should be going and what it should be doing. So they had different expectations. When Jesus gathered with his disciples at what we now call the Last Supper, he washed their feet as a servant would do, and he shared bread and the cup. But he also said, someone would betray him. One of you sitting at the table with you, one of the 12, will betray me. Which one? When he went to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray, he wanted them. He wanted the 12 to pray with him. He wanted their support. They fell asleep. When Judas was approached by the temple priests who were also in disagreement with Jesus, Judas made the decision to turn Jesus over before he could do any more harm. That was Judas's opinion. We do that, don't we? We side up with like-minded folk in order to get our own way. So disciple Judas sets Jesus up. They could no longer agree with one another, so someone had to go. And it didn't end well for either one of them. The tensions are rising and rising and rising. This week is getting more troublesome by the day. Those against Jesus are gaining momentum. One disciple has turned him over to Jewish authorities, and then they hand him over to Roman authorities. And as the different agendas gain power, the cross becomes more and more likely. All of these cross purposes are coming together until the tension is too much to bear. And when the going gets tough, most run and hide because they just can't handle it. Afraid for Jesus, afraid for the future of the ministry, afraid for his own life, disciple Peter says he doesn't even know Jesus, the right-hand man, and here he is unable to stand up for his Lord. Finally, all of the cross purposes collide. Jesus is tried. Jesus is found guilty. The people yell, "Crucify him." The cross goes up. Jesus is on it. It's a sad day. But we can see from the story it was headed this way from the very beginning of the week. We knew those across purposes would cross one another, and they have. It is finished.